Everybody asks that. I love it.
So what the fuck is this? No, so basically we're having on people that we find interesting or that we think are creative or talented. And we're just talking to you about your experiences living in LA or how long you've been here or whatever.
Okay, right.
So you are the subject matter for better or for
lack of a better term.
Yeah, I guess.
What you're trying to say?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say.
Oh, I thought you were saying for better or for worse.
No. So Danny, do you want to? So we met because you are in improv class with Matt, who I took 101 with.
Yeah.
You are in 201 at UCB, Upright Citizens Brigade. But you're also doing improv at Groundlings?
At Second City.
Second City,
actually.
sorry.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
You just
Cool.
got on a team, right?
Yeah, within the last couple of weeks, I got cast on a team there. We still don't have a name yet, but there are a few contenders that are looking pretty good.
What are they?
One of them is Dazzle.
Okay.
All capital letters and just DAZL.
Oh.
It's kind of like your band's name.
Yeah, Glamour.
Glamour.
GLMR. You can't steal that. It's already.
GLMR. Yeah. We went one more vowel than you guys. Like we were on Wheel of Fortune and we weren't skimping. And then like what's another one? Miracle.
Same thing. No.
No.
vowels.
Miracle just like the Madonna kind of treatment, like one word and it says it all. Yeah. But anyways, we don't have a name yet. We're working on it. And we'll be performing at Second City pretty soon, though.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
What was the process like to get on a team?
Well, they have auditions semi-regularly. I don't know exactly what their schedule is there. But they've had a couple auditions since the beginning of the year. I think that they added an extra one due to the closure of I.O.
Oh, yeah.
What's I.O.?
I.O. is...
Improv Olympics.
Oh.
No, that's not what it stands for.
That's not what it stands for?
Well, it's what
Betsy,
it
how dare
did
you.
stand for.
That's what?
That's what it did stand for.
Then they changed
They
it?
got sued by the Olympics.
Oh, right. I heard
For
about
real?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
They were
total
like,
garbage.
you can't steal that
They
word.
got taken to small claims court.
I have no idea, but it infuriates me. I mean,
Yeah, that's lame.
I have no love for like big IO as like an institution anymore because of the way things went down with IO West closing down, but it infuriates me that they got sued by the Olympics.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Because like the Olympics as a thing is like an ancient institution. You know, I feel like it sort of belongs to us all. But
Yeah.
But then for this international organization also to just be so petty as to like sue an improv theater.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, they're just making themselves look bad.
Yeah. Well, they have two locations, IO? It's in LA and then Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago's the motherland.
Yeah, so they just closed the one in LA and the one in Chicago is still going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are you from Chicago?
I'm not from Chicago, but I did live there for a year.
Oh, really? Just to do improv?
No, I didn't even do improv while I was there. I only really got into improv after I moved to LA.
Oh.
I moved to Chicago out of college because I had a lot of friends who I studied with who decided to go to Chicago rather than New York City. I was a theater and creative writing major, and a bunch of my theater homies were like, let's go to Chicago because that seems like less pressure and less expensive.
Seems more doable.
Yeah, exactly. So I went there with them, and I did a little bit of theater. Like we put up a show of like one acts that I wrote most of, and there were some other one acts that folks contributed. But then the winter was really rough because I'm from California.
Oh,
really?
Okay.
What part? Oh, yeah, Bay Area. You told me that.
Yeah,
the other day.
Bay Area.
Yeah.
I'm from San Jose.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The winters are different.
It's despicable. Like it's rough.
I can't attest to this. I know people that live in Chicago. Matt has actually said that he was.
Yeah, he lived in Chicago.
He lived in Chicago for a long time.
So
right?
did Jackie. Fucking
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
some reason, yeah. Seems like the
That
place.
is a hub for improv for sure. That's where
for sure.
that's where a lot of it was born. Like the
East Coast?
What?
East Coast in general.
That's
like
not the East Coast, isn't it? In the middle.
Chicago?
Yeah.
Chicago, I mean, I would
kind of
call
in the
Chicago
middle.
the Midwest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know
But-
anything then.
Yeah.
Continue on.
It's in Central Time.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it is more the middle
Yeah.
of the country, I think.
Yeah, when I was in Ohio, that's where I went to college. I felt like that was kind of borderline because that was in Eastern Time, and then you go over like a state to Indiana, and
Whatever's next door.
Yeah, and then you're in central. Then you're in
Yeah.
central time. So I feel like that might be the boundary.
Gotcha.
Because like people would sort of treat Ohio like it was the East Coast, but it feels very Midwest.
I'm just an ignorant person from California that assumes that Chicago and New York are all the same thing.
It's like if it's east of California, it's
It's
East
east.
Coast. Like, it's either
yeah.
a flyover state or
Las
it's like
Vegas,
East Coast.
East Coast.
It's so far away.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
Well, I did a little bit of research, just to get a general idea of what you've worked on.
I was looking at your notebook
I know.
and I was like, what is that first word? And now
Danny
I
with
see
an
that it's
underline.
crows.
That says I gotta even remember.
I thought that said curious.
I thought it said crowns, and I was like, "Are you going to ask me about my dental history, or like what's
Yeah,
going on?"
it's a dental podcast.
Nice.
Just like what's your general? I forget why I wrote crows. I must have watched.
It's
something.
because I love crows.
Yeah, I think
You do?
you mentioned
I love
that.
crows.
And I
yeah.
was like, what?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, I posted a video recently. You might have seen that on my Facebook.
That's where I found most of the stuff.
Yeah. I love crows. You might already know this about me. Yeah.
Birds, right? The birds.
The birds.
Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Just in
what's,
case.
What's the other kind of crows?
No, just in case it was like a movie or like an
okay.
improv group
Or a band or something.
band,
Yeah. I
Who
do
knows?
also really like the counting crows.
Oh.
Actually,
doesn't?
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
So why Why?
Why crows? Well, I'm a nerd and I like learning about things, and I feel like there's a lot to know about crows because crows are very intelligent birds themselves. That video that I posted was all about how like they can solve like multi-step puzzles in order to get food.
Oh,
like they
fascinating.
understand Archimedes' principle of like displacement of liquid. So if you have like a test tube of water and a crow's like really thirsty and the water level's down here so they can't reach their beak
They
down
put
there,
stuff in
they put
it.
stones in it to raise the water level. And it's just like they're super, super bright. You know, they're smart animals. And they're also like communalistic. Like they travel in small family units and they can like recognize one another and communicate with one another and work together to fight off predators. When I lived in Portland for a year. Numerous times I would see crows, like 3 crows flying at a hawk to like get it to peace out because they're like, yo, stay away from our like
We got a
folks.
gang.
Exactly. Yeah. Like this is our turf, Holmes. Like I don't know if you heard.
Well, that's fascinating. I
That
did
is
not
really
know that.
fascinating. I just assumed that all birds were of the same intelligence level, like pigeons and crows and
Like
whatever the
bird
other little
Chickens,
ones.
all
Yeah.
of them.
Not
Yeah.
Not chickens.
Not chickens.
Excuse me. They're of a different breed.
Chickens are
All the ones that
dumb
actually
but
fly.
malicious. Yeah.
you know.
Dumb
Yeah.
but yeah, we've talked about them before. Anyway, so what I mean, the main thing that you're working on right now,
Yes.
besides improv stuff, is your Whodunit show. Yes,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I'm so excited about. I can't even tell you. It's you want to explain it?
Yeah, so I've been making this show I've been working on it for a couple of months now, and we've been broadcasting for about a month now. It's called What Happened Last Night, the Whodunit Show. And it's a game where we play social deduction games, so far primarily One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which if you haven't heard of it, it is like Mafia, which you may have heard of from being someone who went to summer camp, or just regular old werewolf, which is the same thing as Mafia. Basically, people get assigned roles in secret. I played this game with these homies, so they know what's up.
We know what's up, but no one else does.
No. I wouldn't say we know what's up. I was watching, going, nobody knows
got
what they're
it.
doing.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
So it's not a board game at all, but it's sort of the nature of that type of game.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a tabletop game,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
use
yeah.
the more inclusive term. I'm deep in tabletop gaming culture, and I still call most of them board games anyways.
Just because it's easier.
Yeah, right? Because like, if
Would you like to play a tabletop game? A what?
Don't touch me. Yeah. Yeah, but One Night Ultimate Werewolf, super fun. There's like an app that plays and tells you what to do, and it's got this cool, creepy voice like, everyone, close your eyes.
It is very
Yeah.
hypnotic.
Yeah.
It
I
reminded
was
me of World of
watching.
Warcraft for some reason. That voice.
Ooh, World of
Yeah,
Warcraft.
That voice. Yeah.
Were you deep in World of Warcraft?
I was deep in World of Warcraft when I was like 16, 17.
I knew a guy at college who like invented techniques for dueling in like World of Warcraft. Like he was
Really?
famous
Like
in
strategies?
Weird.
he was the guy. Like there were methods of like fighting in World of Warcraft that were named after him because
No way.
he was the one who
Wow.
originated them. Yeah.
That's
I don't know what his like tag was.
if you're gonna be proficient in something, get it named after you.
Yeah.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He was super chill though. His name was Walter, and he was like this short, like very light-skinned black dude with like a very like a beard that said "I am so mellow," you know. Like it was clean cut, but like he was rad. I took like a creative writing class with him.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's not into World of Warcraft anymore.
Oh, that's kind
Yeah.
of sad.
People get
Yeah.
out and don't go back.
Well, I mean, they move on to different games and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
But your Whodunit show, I have a few questions.
Yeah.
Because
Why? What are you
No,
doing?
no. Like,
Okay.
I totally get it's very similar. I would compare it to like watching people play video games.
Totally,
It's
yeah.
like sort of the same thing. You get to know the people, you enjoy their camaraderie and their
Yeah.
banter and stuff.
Yeah.
But my issue with it is the quality and there are some technical issues
yeah.
going on that I was
For
like,
sure.
I'm trying to watch it, and there are things that are happening that is making it difficult.
Yeah.
Like what?
Like at the beginning
Just
of the
everything's
video,
bad. Yeah, go ahead.
there's like an eerie song. It just starts going. There's no
Yeah.
title card. There's no introduction. It's just like there's eerie music and then pictures of people. And I'm like, okay, these are the players. But then the music stops and the pictures keep rolling. And I'm like, okay. So I skipped ahead and then we were in the game. And then there's like two hosts and then people.
Were you watching an archived video or were you catching it live?
I was doing archived video.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
and
yeah.
then there was like you guys are sort of hosting
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
And then also that girl's microphone. I was like, I can't listen to her because it was like,
Well, that's rude.
Yeah. No, the first
no, the
episode,
microphone wasn't working. So I was like,
Oh.
literally, I cannot hear her.
Oh.
You got to fix that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So just a couple of technical things
Totally.
that need to be ironed out.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea. I'm so pumped about it, and I would love to come on and co-host it
Yeah.
because it's such a rad idea.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't know who's playing. I would like you kind of go into that, but it kind of it took too long to
Sorry.
figure out who these people were. And
Yeah.
I don't know. You gotta liven it up a little bit.
Totally. I agree.
Yeah.
And there are like a bunch of technical difficulties that we're running into where like I've got a MacBook Pro. And
Is that what you're recording on?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, exactly. But like
No.
I plug
Everything.
all of these USB devices like right into it, and I've got like USB hubs on USB hubs and stuff. I don't have like this nice like mixing technology.
It's just from Amazon.com, bro.
I should investigate this website. You call it what? Amazon.
Amazon.com. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah, so that website where you can watch Vikings. That's what I use it for.
You can buy dildos and watch Vikings. Yes.
Two things I do often. Often in tandem as well. It's like, wow, this is a hot
place
episode
has
of Vikings.
everything.
I need another dildo. Yeah.
Anyway, back to your show.
Yeah, so the format, so like we play this game, One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and we do it sort of in a World Poker Tour format where like we've got the game going and then we've got commentators who sort of, I'm one of them, who communicate to the audience like, this guy's bluffing right now. We'll see how that plays out for them. And we sort of display the information as well. Like yeah.
The other thing I was did you? I don't think I caught it. Did you show the audience who had what before they started playing? I don't think you did.
Okay.
How many cameras do you have on this?
We've got two
There's
cameras.
two. There's one on them and one
Probably
on
makes
the
it
players.
difficult, right?
Yeah, when I try to plug in more cameras, it doesn't work because it runs into like the Universal Serial Bus like hardware limitations. Oh. Yeah.
which for those of you who don't know is USB.
USB, Universal Serial Bus.
Oh, I did not know.
I deliberately said it longer so that it would sound like I knew more.
It's a good tactic.
Yeah.
It's a very good tactic. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's continue.
Yeah, and so we have like a few different views where one is just like on the hosts, one is on the players, and then another one is sort of like a split screen where we've got the players up here, we got the host down here, and we've got all the players' names and the roles that they have. And like what switches have been made. So it'll show like they started as the werewolf, but then they became the robber, and then the troublemaker made them the mason, something like that.
Yeah, that game was like really interesting because it was like first of all, like when you play it, you're just like everyone starts with your eyes closed, right?
Yeah.
So you like block your eyes, and then like the phone tells you what to do, and then like there's like one or two player roles that like you switch around.
Right, people are moving cards around. Yeah, people are looking at other people's cards.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Dude, it's so rad because like you're just trying to figure out what the hell happened so that you can like at the end of the night vote on somebody to kill. And all of the villagers are trying to kill the werewolves, and the werewolves are just trying not to get killed.
Right.
And so our players are a bunch of goofballs. They're a lot of fun. One of the guys, Curtis, is a buddy of mine from college. He doesn't give a shit about the game. Like he's just around to
fuck
like
with
fuck with everybody.
That's what Noah was doing the other night. I was just like, do you know what you're doing? And he was like, I'm just saying shit. I have no idea.
Is it the same players on your show every time?
We have 5 like regular players, and then we bring on like a rotating selection of guests. And then if a player's like out of town, last week my buddy Dave Hill was home visiting his family for some important reason, and so we had somebody subbing in for him, and that's how it goes.
And you're streaming on Twitch, right?
We're streaming on Twitch at twitch.tv/Whodunit Show, and on YouTube Live at youtube.com/catrificplays.
Oh yeah, because it's on her YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is another confusing thing. It took me a little bit to find the video on YouTube because I typed in what happened last night. There's so many videos called that.
Oh really?
Yeah, if you look it up, there's like weird music videos and sex things, and you're just like, oh, this is not what I was looking for. So then I had to type. So then I think it took me to the Facebook, which took me back to YouTube. So. And on her channel, I was like, oh, now I'm at a YouTuber's thing, but she doesn't have, there's no like logo to even really identify it.
Right.
So, making it a little bit more accessible definitely helps as well.
Yeah. She's like a YouTube celebrity, and like her main channel has like 700,000 followers or something like that. And she's having us use this old sort of like ancillary channel that she used for like doing live streaming of video games for a while, but hasn't used for a bit. But
what's her name?
Her name is Kat Valdez, and her handle online is Catrific. And she
how did you meet her?
I met her. Oh, it's kind of funny. So like before I moved down to LA, I was meeting up with somebody. Like somebody said, oh, Danny, you're moving to LA to be an actor. Like, here's a friend of mine who's an actor. Like, you guys should hang out. You should grab coffee or something. And we went to grab coffee up in NoHo. I think it's called Republic of Pie.
Sure.
Yeah. And we were sitting down. We were enjoying our pie and our tea and whatnot. And at that time, I was a data scientist, and I was looking for work as a data scientist down here to support myself. Because
you look like you'd be a fucking data scientist.
These glasses? Of course I do.
Is data scientist like data entry?
I've done data entry, but they're pretty different.
Oh, okay. I don't know what a data scientist is.
Data entry is like, I've got a bunch of files and you want them on the computer now, so I will sit down and type them in. And a data scientist is more like your website or your service or your app or whatever has been collecting a carp ton of data. And you want to know stuff about it. And not only that, but you want to begin to predict your like consumers' behaviors and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
You go to a data scientist, they use machine learning algorithms to like gather information and conduct experiments and stuff in order to. Yeah, it's all that sketchy Cambridge Analytica stuff.
Right.
Which is why like when that was all going down and everyone was like, "That's it, I'm off of Facebook." I'm like, You didn't know? You didn't know this was going on?
That's what I said to everyone too.
Right?
Everyone's
As
like,
soon
"Fuck
as you
Facebook."
started seeing ads for things that you were interested in, you weren't like, huh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing how many
Yeah.
people think that like their phone's just listening to them. You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
But really, it's
No,
just
it's
your data.
shit you're searching all
Yeah.
the time. Yeah, I don't know.
I saw a video of a guy who was like, for a week, I'm going to just say baby crib into my phone over and over again without any apps open or anything like that. I'm just going to say baby crib, which is not something I would ever need to buy right now because like I'm a young dude and I don't need a baby crib.
Right.
But I want to see if my phone's listening and if I start getting ads. And like he totally did not. Like it's not a
No,
thing.
but if you Google it
Yeah.
once, then it might come up a few times.
Yeah.
right?
Totally.
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, then that makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
you were one of those people too? Like,
No, I
"Phone's
mean,
listening."
not to the degree that I really gave a shit, but I was
Yeah.
like, that would suck if it was. Like,
Yeah.
I was kind of passive about it. But so
Yeah.
you were doing data science-y stuff when you met Kat.
Right. So I was at Republic of Pie.
Yes.
I was looking
Sponsored by Republic of Pie.
sponsored by
Hey,
Republic
shout
of
out
Pie.
to Republic of Pie.
Fucking shout outs.
The best pies in this here union. I was applying for a job at Riot Games. They make
No way?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh God. So they make League of Legends.
Yes, they do.
Ah,
Yeah,
LOL.
yeah. Do you play
Yes.
that?
I did. I was really into it in college.
I fucking suck at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not great. I was Silver League, but like I always felt like I was really good, which is how everybody feels.
Yes, exactly. I have a few friends that are balls deep in it, and it's like that's all they do. That and World of Warcraft.
Damn.
Yeah.
They just do. Anyway,
man.
continue.
Yeah. So I was applying for a job there, and they'd flown me out for an in-person interview, and I got to go around the campus with an attendant because they are like very secretive and on top of their IP.
that
and
sounds
stuff.
fancy.
And they have a program called like Spot the Spy, where if you see someone in the office without a name badge and you catch them, sometimes it's like, you got me, you did the Spot the Spy, and now you get like candy. You know, like they have this program
it's like a-
to like train people to look out for folks
An
who don't have a
incentive
name
program?
badge. Yeah, exactly.
Weird.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would
Yeah,
imagine
it's
that
crazy.
Blizzard is like that too.
Probably, yeah.
That's good.
And Blizzard's
That's
nearby.
a
Blizzard's
good
nearby.
idea though, because you ever think like as a person going into some place you're not supposed to be, you're like, as long as I look like I know what I'm
Right,
doing,
right.
I can get away with it. But if
Yeah.
they're really looking for you, no, you
And
can't.
they are really looking for you. It's crazy. And they also have like a secret room that's like hidden behind a bookshelf and has like a little brandy side thing in
That's
it.
awesome.
Like, yeah,
Are you allowed to be talking about this?
I don't give a fuck, dude. Like they didn't hire me, and that's why I don't play League of Legends
fuck
anymore.
them.
Really?
But yeah.
Oh, shit.
What happened was like I went in there and I was like, listen, I really like this game, but I'm not gonna act like I'm crazy about it. You know, I don't want to like come off as a fanboy because that might
Yeah.
be really grating to them.
Yeah, exactly.
And also like then if they're like, yeah, we'd like to hire you, and I'm trying to negotiate a good salary, I don't want to make it seem like I would kill myself to work here. You know,
Right.
And then after the interview, I got a call from them, and they were like, "It seemed like you knew what you're talking about. Like you could probably do this job, but it didn't seem like you were excited enough to get to work for Riot." And it
So it backfired on you?
Yeah, it totally backfired.
Dude.
You're like, no, wait, I fucking love this.
Yes.
Yeah, there is always a balance. That's kind of I worked,
Except then it was like, well, good because I fucking hate you guys. Yeah.
it flips real quick. That's
Yeah.
what happened. I worked for BuzzFeed for like 2 months. I was a receptionist because I worked for a temp agency and whatever. And the woman at the temp agency kept giving me like these jobs, and she was like, "What do you want to be doing?" And I was like, "Well, if I could work at BuzzFeed, that would be epic because then I could meet people and maybe transfer my reception job into something else." That was like kind of my goal when I first moved
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Well, I kept applying for graphic design jobs for them and stuff. I was like obsessed.
At BuzzFeed?
Yeah, and then she gave me the job and I was like freaking out, but it was temporary. I knew it was going to end, but I was
Yeah.
like, I'm going to, meet as many people and
Yeah.
But as soon as I started working there, I was like, oh, this is
Not what you hoped it would
yeah,
be,
it was
you
just
know?
like not as exciting. I mean, my job was just opening a door every day pretty much. And like people were nice and everything, but I was just like, oh, like I'm over it. So now I'm like not even a fan. Like,
Did you get to meet the Try Guys or?
I met one of them out in WeHo and I was very drunk. I kept calling him the wrong name. And
Nice.
I met like some of the people that were, because what happens is you become a producer producer, and then you just put yourself in every video, and that's how those people are famous now, because they were just like, well, I'm just gonna make it and put myself in, which I guess is smart, but it's not like I don't think they were like elected to be the face of stuff. They kind of just did it that company, honestly, like I know people that have gotten let go. I knew people that were interning there for way too long and they never got a job, and they grew too fast, had to let a lot of people go. It's very incestuous. It's just not a great business format for a company. They're still doing well, I'm sure, but I'm just like, I'm fine. It's a lot of clickbait. I'm good.
Yeah, a ton of clickbait.
Yeah.
BuzzFeed.
It seems like maybe they just turned themselves into this like unstoppable engine that no one has the reins on. You know?
Yeah, a little bit. Got out of there.
So I was at Republic of Pie, and I was
Hey, shout out to Republic of Pie.
Sup, Republic.
Good segue.
And I was talking about this interview and how I was going in and stuff. And Kat was sitting across from us at like a coffee table, because they've got very like homey sorts of like furniture arrangements there, such that it's like you're in someone's living room. And she was sitting across from us on her laptop, and I was talking about Riot, and then at some point she's like, hey, I'm really sorry for eavesdropping, but like you're talking about Riot, right? Like that's so cool. Like I know some folks at Riot, and she used to date Bjergsen, if you know who that is.
I don't.
He's like,
nope.
He was a big player.
Like,
I don't know if he still is. He might be. He played for like TSM, which is one of the biggest League of Legends teams in North America.
I'm not familiar with all that stuff.
Dude,
I didn't go that deep.
Okay, I got deep. I got really
shit.
deep. Yeah, because it's like I would watch like the professionals play in tournaments and stuff like that, and it's fun. It's fun and it's funny.
No, yeah.
Because
So I was gonna say I got super deep into like I was back in like the heyday of like Counter-Strike, if you know what that is. Yeah. So I was
Is
like
that making a comeback?
Counter-Strike.
Things like Counter-Strike or
Not really.
I don't know
Counter-Strike
shit
so
about
much,
games.
but
Don't let me say anything.
Overwatch as well. Like that. The whole Overwatch thing is really blown up. You know. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
So Bjergsen played for TSM, and TSM was like one of the first really big North American teams, and people got really into them, and they got this like crazy, ridiculous fan base that would always like show up to the games and just chant TSM, 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 and everybody got crazy about TSM because they were like the best in North America for a while. And after a while, like the TSM fan base just got more and more ridiculous, where they would show up to other people's games where TSM wasn't even playing,
TSM.
and like things would be going well, and they'd be like, "Yeah, TSM, TSM."
And they're like,
And
"No,
I was like, God, no, we're Cloud9, stop it!" Like, yeah. So there's funny stuff, and so she just started talking to us, and before I left, I was like, I'm trying to network. I'm moving here soon. I want to know everyone. And I got her number, and we after I got here, we went to Howlin' Ray's Chicken, which is a great spot for, I think,
How long do you have to wait in line?
Fucking hours, dude.
Oh, why would you
There's
do
always
that?
a line at
Because I
Howlin'
just
Ray's.
moved to LA.
And you were like, I gotta do all
any
this
better.
shit.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you avoid that stuff like the fucking plague.
It's all right,
No,
'cause
thank you.
I waited 2 hours for Blue Jam Cafe one time before I moved out here.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's like,
Never again.
what's ridiculous is there are times to go to those places when it's not, like Pink's hot dogs or whatever. I drive by there almost on a day-to-day basis. I go
Not
by
even
there
that good.
and nobody's in line. The only time people are in line are Friday and Saturday nights, and it's like way down the street. But if you go during the day, it's like, why? Those hot dogs probably aren't even that good. I get it's like been here forever, but it's like there is other better shit.
Yeah.
You can look at it and be like, hey, that's Pink's hot dogs. Cool. Move it along.
I mean, I've been to Howlin' Ray's, though, at like some pretty random times. It's like, it's in this little shopping plaza in Chinatown. And the line always extends like through the entire shopping center. And it takes 4 hours. And I've been there at like 3 p.m. on a Tuesday afternoon, and the line is still there. And I went over there to get coffee. There's a really cool coffee spot called Endorphin, right across the way from it. I was going there with a friend of mine, and there was no line, and I was like, what? What is happening? I go up, and the place was closed. It was closed for like renovation. Yeah.
Because don't they only have like X amount of chicken per day, right? Like they only
Do they? Oh,
I think
didn't know
that's their
that.
thing. It's
Okay,
like
I
they
buy it.
only-
I buy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was it? Was
Yeah, how
it
was it
worth
good?
the wait?
So, all right.
Oh, there's a story.
Did you get the
There's
one where you
more
had
of
to
a story.
sign the waiver?
I didn't have to sign a waiver.
Okay.
No, but they have like, I think 6 levels. They've got
Of hotness.
Yeah, 6 levels of hotness.
Oh, like
because they're all about
spicy-
spicy chicken.
Got it. I would not
spicy
like
fried
this
chicken.
place.
Is it-
Nope, you
what's
sure
it called?
wouldn't.
Is it Louisiana fried chicken? Is that like the
Yeah, it's the style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The style's Louisiana hot chicken, which is like becoming a big thing.
Got it.
They've got 6 levels, I think.
6.
Okay. They've got country, which is no spice.
That's what I want.
It's just bomb,
Yeah.
right? Dip it in some ranch, it's bomb.
Yeah. They've got mild, which is a little bit of spice. They've got hot, very hot, extra hot, and then howlin'.
Which is you got to sign a waiver.
You have to sign a waiver to eat howlin'.
I don't even know what's in it, dude. Because I was
Straight wasabi.
yeah, I was just like starting to get into like, you know what? I want to try to eat spicier food, mostly because I was in a relationship while I lived in Portland before I came down here where my ex couldn't eat spicy food at all. So I was like, I'm going to start eating spicy food so that she won't eat my food. And so I was like starting to get into it, and I was like, you know what? I want to try like the level above the middle. Like there's 6, I'll get number 3 from the top because like the middle is probably like what most people can take. What I got was very hot. Then there's extra hot and howlin'. Very hot is made with habaneros and ghost peppers.
Ooh.
And a dude I was there with was like, I'm going to get the extra hot, which is made with Trinidad scorpions and Carolina reapers.
No, thank you.
Fuck. That I don't even know what those are.
I love
Yeah.
spicy food, but that's like this.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like hotness and spice, there's like something called a Scoville level.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And like
Scoville.
that.
Scoville.
And
It measures the amount of capsaicin, which is what makes stuff spicy.
Yeah. So I think what like 20,000 is around like where it gets like really crazy.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue though.
anyway.
How was that?
So it was tough. It was very tough. And like this guy was gonna get the extra hot, and the dudes behind the counter were like, "Don't do that. Like you've never been here before. You don't want to do that. Like
Yeah.
please trust us." And then we got the sandwiches, and this
Because
guy.
at some point, it's like you can't even eat it
yeah.
or enjoy it. So
For
it's
sure.
like you're just throwing your money in the trash.
Yeah, exactly. And so he wound up going with the very hot, which is what I got as well, with the habaneros and the ghost peppers. And it's like 5 years ago, everyone would have said like, "Oh, the spicy pepper in the world, that's a ghost pepper."
Right.
Then Trinidad Scorpion came on the scene, and it's like, "Oh, it's spicier than the ghost pepper." And then this guy took Trinidad Scorpions and crossbred them to get like the spiciest of the Trinidad Scorpions, and that's what a Carolina Reaper is. So he was trying to get like the spicy pepper that nobody even knew about 5 years ago, plus that pepper's spicy baby that was like scientifically engineered to be even spicier. But he went with the ghost pepper and habanero, as I did, and he was sweating and crying and talking a lot. And I was in as much pain, but taking like a different tack where like I couldn't speak. I was eating it, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna eat this whole sandwich, and I'm gonna get through it. But like I couldn't talk, and it was delicious. It was really good.
Yeah.
But next time, I would probably go for a lower spiciness.
So it does taste good. It's just
It does.
painful.
Yeah.
I don't understand
Yeah,
spicy.
it's
I don't
really
understand
painful.
spicy and scary movies, and apparently those two things are like synonymous with people. If you
I mean,
like
those are two
spicy,
things that I'm
you
trying to get
also like
better at.
scary movies, and I don't like either of those
do you
things
feel
because
about
I'm a
scary
baby.
movies?
When I was a kid, like I couldn't take scary movies. Like they freaked me
Same.
the fuck out. Like I watched the Ring at a friend's birthday party. It was
Dude,
supposed to
that
be.
first like 2 minutes right when that body's in the closet haunts me to this day.
So I went to Alex Batista's birthday party, and we were supposed to go see the James Bond movie. I think like Die Another Day, or There's Always a Tomorrow, or I don't give a fuck. And we get there.
James Bond. I don't give a fuck. That's the best one.
James Bond, IDGAF. And we got there, and it was sold out. And we were there with his dad, not his mom. I'm sure this wouldn't have happened with his mom. But all the kids were like, "Oh, well, let's go see The Ring instead. That's playing." And I was like, "Oh God."
You're like, don't say anything. You don't want to be not
It's
cool.
Like, please no. And like the dad can see that I'm not into it, and he's like just trying to salvage the day. He's like, "Fuck, what am I gonna do? We can't see James Bond." And
Well,
like,
you also can't see two different movies with a bunch of kids. You all have to be in the same group.
Exactly.
So he's looking at you like, suck it up, bitch.
Yeah, he's looking at me, and he's like, "Hey." No, he wasn't like, "Suck it up, bitch."
Oh, okay.
But it had the same effect. He's like, "Hey, I understand that you're scared to watch this movie, and you don't have to. but it would be really cool if you did. Like, it would be great. I mean, we could all just go home.
Don't ruin it.
Yeah, exactly. And so we went and watched The fucking Ring, and I had to have my parents pick me up because I couldn't stay the night because I was terrified.
Oh, no.
And then, like, every week on the week, I was sure I was going to die because I was like, it's just a fluke that I didn't get killed last week. Like, there's no way I'm not still going to die.
Did you ever see The Ring?
No.
Because it's like every 7 days you
like,
die or something.
Right.
If you
watch a video.
Oh, and then 7 days later.
You get a phone call. It says 7 days. And then 7 days later,
you die.
Chick crawls out of the TV all wet and
the
scary.
scariest I saw Paranormal Activity,
Yes.
the first one.
Yes.
Because I
It's
worked
a good movie, though.
I worked at a movie theater and we were playing it, and it was the midnight show or whatever. And because you work there, you get free tickets, and you can get as many as whoever's with you. So for whatever reason, they let me get free tickets on the midnight show, sold out show, which was rad. So because my boyfriend at the time was into scary movies, and then my 2 other girlfriends were also. So I was like, all right, guys, I'll like do you a solid and get you into this movie, even though I'm not I don't want to see it, but I want you guys to have a good time. So we went, and it was like fine. I was like, had my hand over my eyes for most of it, and like just trying to bear through it.
Yeah.
But what happened was I went home. Okay, so first of all, me and my boyfriend, we drove separately because I was already at work, and then we met up after. Then we went and hung out at my house afterwards, just for I don't know why. But we drove separately. So I'm like it's at night. I'm in my car. I'm freaking out. I'm just like, relax, breathe. It's not real. We get home. And this motherfucker, we were sitting in my living room, and there's a sliding glass door out into our porch, and my mom called down. She goes, hey, can you call out to our cat, get our cat inside? So I was like, okay, sure. So I go over to the screen door, and I open, I'm like, Violet or Dodger, I don't remember which cat it was. I was like, and like, it didn't come. And in that movie, there's a scene where he goes to the screen porch and is like, honey, what are you doing? And some freaky thing happens. So I'm at our screen porch door, and he goes, what's that? And I was like, I just like freaked out and started crying immediately. God. And I was just like sobbing, and I was like, you fucker, you know I don't do well. I'm like yelling into the microphone.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's getting loud.
It's getting really loud.
I'm about to turn you the fuck down.
But I was just like, my fucking psyche is so fragile. Yeah. That's not okay. And I'm like, why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So that's not
but
what
cats are like the enemy of someone who's just been frightened by a movie.
100%.
What?
Because like, 100%. No, like if you watch a scary movie,
no,
and
cats
then,
are
like,
my comfort.
No.
Okay, good for you. Congratulations.
Listen to what he's about to say, 'cause I already know.
Okay.
If you've just seen a scary movie and you're up and you can't sleep, and you have a cat in your house, they're gonna make all sorts of freaky sounds to like put you on edge and make you want to die. Like, they'll just be like sitting in the kitchen, like miles away from you, being like, and you're like, I know it's a cat, and then they'll be moving around and be like, that's definitely the cat. One time I was a kid, and like I was scared of the dark, and we always had the hall light on, and I would leave my door open. And the hall light went out, and I was like, fuck. So there was like a week while my dad just had better things to do than change the light bulb, and he like put a little lamp like on the ground. And one night I was like lying in bed and the lamp's on the ground, which is great. I've got light coming in, but that'll cast big shadows. Mm-hmm. And so the cats were just walking back and forth, and I was like, oh God, it's just the cats. And I was like, who's there? Like, who is it? Name yourself. And I was like, go away. I was like shouting. And then like, I was like, okay, it was definitely just the cats. Like, stop worrying. But then my dad comes and he's like, Danny, are you okay? And I started bawling. I was like, I was so scared. But I have a story about Paranormal Activity too, because like, when it came out, like, I heard a lot of hype about like, this is the scariest movie ever, which I now realize is probably like the hype around every horror movie that comes out. But I was like, I buy it. This is the scariest horror movie ever. And you know what? I'm going to go see it. And when I see the scariest horror movie ever, no one can give me shit again for not wanting to watch horror movies, because I'll be like, I watched Paranormal Activity. I'm not scared.
I ain't no pussy.
Yeah, exactly. And so I went to see it with some friends of mine, I think on Halloween or something like that. And they were staying the night, and we went to this theater in downtown Santa Cruz, this hip place. where like somebody is like the host for the evening and says like, hey, you know, please enjoy the film. And for this, it was like a midnight screening, so it was a big to do. And they're like, we've got a raffle for this Ouija board. After you watch the movie, you might not want it.
Fuck those Ouija boards.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy introducing the film was like, so you know what? This is a horror movie like any other horror movies. Like it's not real, and it's also like a super specific scenario. You know, like in Friday the 13th, if you're not at a summer camp, don't worry about it. And this movie is the same. It's like, unless you're like a person who lives in a house
that is already
and
haunted.
sleeps in a bed with or without another person, which the point is, like, this could fucking happen to anybody. If it were real, this could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And that's what was so terrifying about it to me. It's like there was no explanation, like no reason why it started happening to this chick. Like a demon was just like, you know what, I'm into her. Like let's go at it. And things got terrible. And it's like, yeah, you know, that's random and awful and seems like it could happen to anybody. So that's why I was terrified. And then I felt like the sequels to Paranormal Activity,
which I did not see.
well, I felt like those were made by people who were like, that movie was too scary. Let's make movies that make it less scary.
Oh,
because
really?
they did like backstory and stuff. And like, this is why the demon was chasing her. And it's like, thank God my grandma wasn't a witch. So I'm fine.
Oh, but because there was no rhyme or reason, that was why it was so scary.
Exactly. That's what freaked me out.
All
That
those
makes
movies
sense.
that had to do with any kind of like demon or possession like that, those were always the scariest to me. And back to what you were saying about the cat thing, was that like when I was like 18 to like 22, I had 3 different cats. They all got eaten by coyotes eventually.
Oh, no.
But
Around here, yeah?
Yeah.
no, and from where I'm from in like Temecula,
California.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
California.
Temecula's around here. Like, how far
it's
is
like
Temecula?
65 miles, something like that.
It's an hour drive.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
more like 2 hours, but
I mean,
it's like an hour and
Oh, it's
hour
okay.
45.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I had this cat, and she would like, for some fucking reason, anytime I had to just watch a scary movie or something like that, like I wasn't necessarily like a scaredy cat, but movies freaked me out and they would stick with me long after the movie was over, right? So I had this cat and she would always she would lay in bed with me.
Yeah.
But like if somebody was like outside my room or like if my girlfriend was over or something like that, she was in the bathroom, like the cat was very curious. She would like walk over to the bathroom inside my room and like start like looking around, like seeing what's going on. Mm-hmm. I think I watched this movie called VHS. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
No.
So it's sort of like Paranormal Activity, but it's like a collection of like 4 short films, basically, like in a horror format. It's hard to explain. You would just have to see it.
Okay.
Just know that it's technically like what people consider one of the scariest movies. So I had just watched it with my ex, and she left, and I was laying in bed and I was going to sleep, and I was kind of like thinking about it.
Oh, I
and
know
my
where this is
fucking
going.
cat, we were laying in bed. My cat's laying in bed. My cat like jumps up like this and like looks towards my bathroom, and then I like notice she does that, and I was faced this way. The bathroom's behind me, and I'm just like, oh my fucking god, dude. And like I kind of just turn around and I look, and there's nothing there, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. And then she goes, "Meow," and I'm like, oh my god. And then
Who are you
like,
talking to?
yeah, and then she gets up off the bed, jumps down, and goes like, "Meow," and then it's like walks over to the thing, and I'm like, out of the corner of my eye, like looking and seeing if she's like gonna do anything, you know, like she walks over to the bathroom and just kind of like is like looking around, and then like, dude, that was one of those times where I was just like fucking freaking out.
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
That was one of the
'cause
few
what,
times
cats and
that-
dogs can see is it
Spirits.
or energy or whatever.
yeah.
I totally buy that.
Yeah,
by
me
the
too.
way,
Me too.
I'm totally on board with like energy being in a room or attaching itself to things. That's why. That's probably why they scare me so much. Is because I
Scary
believe in
movies.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, also things that are terrifying just like sink their images into my brain, and then I start seeing them behind me while I'm laying in bed.
Yeah,
like,
I just showed you a picture of the It clown. You were like, no.
the imagery. I have a very active imagination. It's not good.
No, it's not.
A car just surprised me.
I was like, what are you trying to freak me out?
No, I wasn't. Like
Rude.
that red Prius just really threw me off. Yeah. I used to believe in stuff like that, and I really wanted to believe in it. Like I read this book that was about like the parapsychology department at like Duke University, where they would do studies on like people like trying to guess cards, stuff like that, or like control the outcome of a roll of dice, like that sort of thing. and I don't remember all the details from the book, but apparently they did some studies that were decently convincing.
Oh.
About spirits and stuff?
About psionic phenomena is what they called it. And like at Duke, their parapsychology department tried to be very legitimate and very official, and one of them like experimented with drugs once just because they're like, all these other places are like saying maybe LSD will like help you unlock your psychic abilities, so they're like, let's check it out. And then they did it and they were like, no, this is garbage. And so they tried to just stay with experiments that they thought were like well reasoned and supported and double blinded and whatnot. And they came up with some, like, I think statistically significant results. But most people still don't accept it. And I think now I also don't accept it because I read an argument that pointed out, like, in the universe, there are 4 forces that we have, like, theorized or, like, come up with rules for that explain like all physical phenomena that we know. Gravity, electromagnetic force, the weak nuclear force, and the strong nuclear force. And so for like a physical object to move or information to be conveyed, it has to be done using particles or like communicated through these 4 forces that we understand. And so if psychic abilities were a thing,
they would be able to be measured by one of those 4 things.
Exactly. They would have to be measurable, and they would have to be conveyed through those 4 forces. And so there's a really easy way, like if you can control and move things with your mind, like you ought to be able to just take a scale, like something that measures mass or force that's very sensitive down to like 0.0000 grams or like pounds or whatever, and just stare at it and ping it. Put it in like a vacuum sealed room, something like that, and just have somebody ping it with their mind such that it fluctuates. And that would be solid, evidence. Like incontrovertible evidence.
Yeah.
But like nobody's done that because you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so the studies that seem to point to psionic abilities have to sort of hide behind statistics. They have to hide behind random chance and probability such that like every so often, like a statistically significant study says that we are 95% confident that these results didn't happen by pure chance.
Right.
Which means that 1 in 20 times a statistically significant result will happen just by chance.
Yeah. And so you can't take that for what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, now, were you talking just about strictly like being able to control things with your mind, or are you talking more about like consciousness?
So like, yeah, this is cool things to talk about. Like, I
find this stuff super fascinating.
I do too, and I like knowing about like the different specific words. Like,
me too.
There's clairvoyance, which is where you know things that you haven't perceived with your ordinary senses. Like if you wrote something down on a piece of paper, no, that would be different. Like say you've got 5 cards and you shuffle them around so that you don't know which is which, and then you put one on the table. If I were to be able to perceive what that card was without looking at it or anything, that would be clairvoyance, because it's just knowing something that you haven't perceived with your senses. Then there's telepathy. And telepathy is where you can read someone's thoughts. So if you looked at the card and thought it at me, and then I was able to know what it was, that could be telepathy. And then there's telekinesis, which is where you move things with your mind. And I feel like there are some other like specific terms that I was really into before, but that I've forgotten now. But consciousness is another interesting thing.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people think that like, I mean, you're talking about like moving stuff around with your brain and stuff, and that there was like those 4 different. What were you saying? There's weak nuclear energy.
Weak nuclear force, strong nuclear force, electromagnetic force, and gravity.
Yeah, but I feel like there's people, and you were saying like people don't believe in like spirituality stuff or like spirits or demons or stuff like that because of those 4 things. Was that kind of what you were saying?
Because if those things were able to have an impact on our world, like they would have to do it through those forces, and we would be able to measure it and see it.
Okay. let's just move on.
No, because I still want to talk about this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because like consciousness is another thing, and like when
so where does consciousness fit into those things though? That's what the question I was trying to think of.
right. So like you got to ask what consciousness is.
That's what I'm saying.
And what I think of consciousness as being is like my subjective experience of the world. Like my thoughts and my perceptions and what goes on inside of my brain that makes me who I am, like that is my consciousness. And it's questionable whether like that is an entity in and of itself.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Yeah, because like you live in the neurons in your brain.
Yeah.
Like there are all of these like incredibly complex like series of synapses that allow your brain to do what it does. Some of it happens involuntarily, some of it happens below the conscious level, and then some of it happens on the conscious level. And so your consciousness happens, I think, mostly in the prefrontal cortex of your brain, where like you are able to form thoughts and make abstractions and come up with plans and like feel empathy and whatnot. And like that's just chemicals moving around and electrical impulses being passed from one neuron to another. And so it's, I think, questionable whether like your consciousness exists apart from the physical reality of your brain. But when I was really into like parapsychology and like paranormal stuff, like I liked to think, you know, are you guys familiar with like the idea of the deterministic universe?
No.
Maybe. It sounds vaguely familiar.
It's like if the universe follows a set of principles, like there are laws of physics that define what can and can't happen.
It's like a predictable
Right, exactly.
outcome.
Yeah. If you had a big enough computer or like the right algorithm and you had like a single moment in time with all of the like placement and momentum of objects in space,
You could predict the rest of...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So if that were true of the universe, could it also be true of like the state of your consciousness? And if you knew all of the rules of consciousness and you could like take a snapshot of somebody's consciousness, could you not then like determine what would come from it and how it would extend off into the future? And if you could do that, could you do that after the point of death? Could you say like this model is playing itself out and then death happens, and how would it play itself out after that, right?
Ooh, I never thought about that.
And that's why I felt like really confident of like an afterlife or survival past death, because I was like, if that equation does exist, then like it's out there, you know, it's in the universe, and like maybe it's in a separate universe, if there are multiple universes, like maybe like there's a consciousness verse, and like that's where all of our brains live, and like after we die, like they're still there doing their thing, and who knows where they go or how they think when they're separated from the senses. But like I was like, that's cool, like maybe my ideas will continue to exist past my physical form.
Are you religious at all?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Me neither, but I find it fascinating that like some people that are like just really like atheists just think that like when you're dead, that's it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what you think?
I mean,
Doesn't sound like it.
It doesn't, but you never know.
I mean, that kind of is what I think though now, because
Like after your brain's done, it's done.
yeah.
I think that your brain and your like soul, spirit, whatever energy source from the universe is different. So I think that I always think of it as like your soul is not attached. It happens to be attached right now to my
Right.
physical body, but it is not. It's, what is it? Energy cannot be, if you don't
It's connecting to my goddamn computer.
turn it off.
It can't be created
Energy
or
cannot be
destroyed.
created or
Okay.
destroyed, so it just gets recycled in some other way. So I kind of just think that the universe is it's a balancing a mechanism or whatever, so it always keeps harmony within itself, so that anything that goes away will come back in some other form. Not so much like you'll come back as another living thing, but you will. I think your energy, your body, your whatever your energy source will be used in some other thing again.
I mean, so I feel like I totally do believe in that, but only like metaphorically or like as an analogy for what actually does happen, which is like, everything that I am right now will go into something else in the universe. Like my body will decay and like the molecules that make me up will become something else. But like I believe in it as a cool like metaphor for explaining what else happens and my ideas as well. Like if I say things that resonate with folks and like stick around, like they may never be attributed to me again in the future, but it may have influenced somebody, or like something that I did like will change somebody else's like the course of their day and whatnot, and like that can carry on into the future. And like I believe that in that as like a potent metaphor, and like that does help give me some like solace for the survival question, because it's like, you know, maybe my experience will end, but like the impact of my existing here could go on, and certainly at least my physical form will like be redispersed throughout the earth, as long as I don't bury myself in a big lead box, which I'm thinking about.
You're thinking about?
No, I'm not.
Just to like preserve it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the reason I asked that was because like I wouldn't consider myself religious anymore, but I was raised Christian, and so like I went to church every now and then, and I prayed, you know, to Jesus Christ and blah, blah, blah. And I did all that stuff. And like, I can't say that I really do that anymore. But like the thing about consciousness, or just like what happens like after you die, like there's just certain things that like I myself have experienced that like either it's the biggest coincidence ever, or there's something else going on.
There are no coincidences.
Okay. So for an example,
yes.
2 years ago, my brother passed away, and when that happened, it obviously it sucked, and it was many emotions and all this stuff, right? But you know, my mom and like my family and I like found ourselves like asking a lot of questions, like why, what, you know, what happens, you know? And when that happened, I really, really, really like got into like thinking about like what happens after you die, like what the fuck is going on, basically, right? And there was just something weird that had happened like 2 or 3 days after he passed away. He died of a heroin overdose, and one of my mom's like distant friends that I hadn't seen in a long time like had come over, and she was like, you know, on my way over here, I found one of my son, who was my friend Brandon is her son. That's how they like are. That's how like we know them and stuff. She said like, oh, we were driving over, and like I just found the CD in a box since they were moving or something, and she put in the CD, and she's like, this song just reminded me of your brother. And it was like this song that was like kind of just about like loss and like not being able to find your way because you're like on drugs and shit. Right. And like she showed it to me, and she's like, I just put it in, that was the first song. And I thought like, oh, okay, well, whatever. That was kind of a coincidence. It was coincidentally, it was like a Three Doors Down song. I don't know if you're familiar with that band.
Heard of them.
And then, so it was a Three Doors Down song, and I was just like, she was showing it to me, and I was listening to it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, and that's weird, yeah, it's crazy. Then I go inside, and I go back inside my house, and my mom like was like cleaning out some boxes or something, and she found that CD that had that same song on it, and I was like, wait a minute, Debbie just showed me like that song, like I was like, where'd you find this? She's like, I don't know, I was just going through like some boxes. And there was just like some weird energy to that I was just like, what the fuck? Like, is that a giant coincidence that like this person out there? No, you're saying no? I'm
saying it's not a coincidence.
Oh,
I'm saying that something significant is going on, because my mom had something similar happen. Her sister died years ago when I was like 5 or something, and she, for some reason, you know, there's little things that remind you of people, whether it's a song or a smell or whatever it is. Whatever it was, my mom was thinking this one day. This was years ago. She was telling me, she was like, I was just thinking about my sister, just like in, you know, passing, like, oh, I miss her, like kind of a fleeting thought. And then she later went into our dining room, which we never go into. There's like a dining room table, and there is a china set, and in the china set there is this set of lights that all you do is you like tap on the metal and they turn on. So my mom said that she thought about her sister, and then later she walked through the dining room and those lights were on.
Yeah, shit
and
like
she
that
hadn't been in that room all day, and
Mm-hmm.
she just saw it, and she was like, oh, like she kind of read it as her sister saying hi, you know, like realized, like noticing that she had a thought about her, and kind of like reaffirming I don't know what, but it definitely
Yeah.
felt like it meant something. It
Yeah,
wasn't
it's
like the
super
lights
weird.
were on for no reason, because that doesn't really happen.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
shit like that's happened to me. Like other stuff's happened too. I can't think of anything specifically, but like just stuff like that. So like before my brother had passed away, if you would have asked me like what happens after you die, I would have been like nothing. But and not just because like I like want to see him again one day or anything. It's not like that. But like really, like I feel like there's like something greater going on, and that's why I brought up consciousness, because it's like I feel like that in some way is what goes on after you die.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
like what you were saying, like your consciousness just goes to like the conscious verse or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
in a very like
Maybe there's a new universe where there aren't any physical things.
Yeah.
It's all mind shit. I don't know.
Right. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, so like, I think that I still feel like things like that are coincidences.
yeah,
But
it totally can be.
right. And the thing is, like, I feel like even believing in like a strictly scientific sense that everything that happens just happens because it does, doesn't preclude like all of the meaning and significance that you can draw from believing in all of that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because like when I hear about people who are Christian and like people tell them about the Big Bang and like our scientific theories surrounding it, and they say, well, that's all ridiculous because I know that my God created the earth in 7 days.
Yeah, that's so
like,
dumb.
It
Just
really
don't
pisses
do
me
that.
off because it's like the fact that the Big Bang is the most likely explanation for how we're here is like scientifically agreed upon doesn't change the fact like that could have been caused by God, you know? Like, and I don't have an authoritative answer on that because it's impossible to have an authoritative answer on that.
Yeah.
But like the universe coming out of a Big Bang doesn't preclude the existence of a God.
Yeah.
Because if God existed, it would have to be some sort of like extra dimensional thing that is capable of influencing everything within our universe. So having that be outside of our strict physical understanding of the universe doesn't seem like a conflict of logic to me. And so I think that like there are so many like miraculous and significant and meaningful coincidences in this world. And like the fact that she had that CD and you found that CD like could totally just have been happenstance, but like the fact that it had such an impact on you is a testament to like what your brother meant. And like
Oh, so maybe just
Right.
if that had happened without your brother,
Exactly.
you
Right.
would have
That's
been,
kinda
you
what
would
I
have
thought
ignored
too,
it
yeah.
altogether.
Whether or not there is like a literal spirit of your brother like influencing the world doesn't matter, because that's sort of like how I think about it as like a metaphor. Because like if you imagine a literal spirit of your brother like having caused that, it would have the same impact on you as if it just happened by happenstance. And like having it as a metaphor for like what did happen in the universe, I feel like is better. And I think that so like something I was just thinking about as you're saying that is like we have the capacity for empathy in our brains. And like some people have like a really strong capacity for empathy, where like I was listening to a story on NPR and there was this chick who's like really good at listening, and they put her in an MRI machine and they played a recording of a story that someone told for her, and they looked at her brain, and they also looked at the brain of the person who told the story as they were telling it, and they're all the same things were lighting up in their brain. So like every time you have an experience with someone where like you're really connecting with them and like feeling and thinking about the same
You're
things.
on the same like wavelength.
Exactly. Like I'm sure you had experiences like that with your brother where like his brain was lighting up in such a way and your brain was lighting up in a way to match it, such that like almost literally like
You were
your
connected.
brother is in you, you know?
Yeah.
Like his experiences and his consciousness is a part of your experience and your consciousness. And like, even though he's physically not around anymore, like he like chemically and physically is like in your mind and like is still there, you know?
Absolutely. I totally agree. But there was another thing too, is like, how do you like, have you ever been like thinking about somebody you haven't talked to in a while,
And
or
then
like,
they text you.
something like that?
I don't know. I mean, probably, but
Yeah.
I feel like anecdotal stuff like that to me is like confirmation bias, where it's like
It is.
yeah, like it's
is.
something that reinforces like the way you like to think about the world happens, and it's like,
Oh, there
wow,
it is.
So how about that? And then there
Or
are all
if
the times,
someone-
right? I mean, like you think about people so many times. Like I think about my friend Andrew often, and like sometimes if I think about Andrew and he calls me, like that'd be really neat. But I
But
probably
sometimes
think about
you
him
think
like
about him and he doesn't
100
call.
times more than he does. Right?
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like to believe in the coincidences that mean stuff because it makes it. I mean,
Makes
for
it more
me,
fun.
not more fun. Sometimes it makes it a little bit easier. Like I was just thinking today that karma, if you believe in it or not, but I sometimes think like I believe in energy exchanges. So like, for example, the other day I gave $7 to somebody who bought food for somebody, and I was basically paying her back, saying thank you. But then I also gave $7 to somebody ungratefully who was being an asshole, and I threw it at her, and I was like, fuck off. So basically those two things, I was giving money graciously, that's good energy. I gave it in a negative way, that's bad energy. And the way that energy exchanges work, because I gave it good, that money is going to be exchanged again in a positive way, whereas the other one will come back and be a negative thing. So I sort of was thinking like every time we do like a good deed or something in a positive way and we get something nice in return, that's like the universe's way of like saying good job, do that more. But then there is the opposite, where if you scam somebody or if you're a shitty person and karma comes and bites you, that's the universe going bad, don't do that. But people don't really listen to that kind of stuff, and I'm very tuned in, and I am aware of that. But I think it's interesting that people go through life doing bad things and getting bad stuff, and it's kind of going back and forth, and the whole time the universe is like, hey, I'm punishing you, like stop doing that. Like it's just like a parent that's like, why aren't you listening to me? I'm because every time you do something bad, you get something bad, and they don't like make that connection, that it's just like a vicious circle. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had that weird thought today.
I mean, like I personally don't like to believe
In karma.
yeah, I mean, I mean, like, again, I think it's like a really good metaphor, because I think like if somebody does something nice to me and it like puts a smile on my face, like there's one time when I was walking through the cafeteria of my college and like someone just said hey to me, and I was like, oh, I didn't think that person was someone who would say hey to me, and I just like was smiling as I walked off, and someone was like, what are you smiling about? You know, it's like I am carrying a positive energy, and like their influence on me then made me happier and would probably make me predisposed to be nicer to the people around me and like sort of carry off in like a wave of good vibes. But like, as far as like a strict supernatural sense of karma, where like the universe like punishes those who are bad and rewards those who are good, like I don't think that that is true.
No, because shitty people get,
because shitty
look at
people
Harvey
get
Weinstein.
good stuff, and
Well,
really
he got
good people
bit in
get
the ass
shitty
finally.
stuff.
Well, he got caught
finally,
by
yeah,
it
sure, but like
after a long time.
I mean, I just think that, you know, because I worry that that sort of mindset enables people to say, oh, I see a homeless person on the side of the road, I'm going to think about the decisions that they made to get themselves there, you know? And like, I went to a Catholic high school. I wasn't raised religious, but like they got me at like a pivotal time.
Yeah.
they got me.
And so like I like am still deeply affected by like the idea of original sin and stuff. And like they really influenced my view of the world, despite me not taking like a directly religious take on it.
What is original sin? Like
Original
in terms
sin?
of
like
like
in terms
Catholic-
of Catholic dogma, it's the fall from Eden. It is where we were in a state of paradise and in like a perfect relationship with God, and we didn't know about good and evil, and then Adam and Eve ate from the fruit of knowledge, and then we fell, and because of that, all humanity is imbued with like a core of sinfulness. And everyone is born with just a little bit bad about them. And then, like, after I was done with high school, I was like, why don't we call that what it is and call it puberty? You know? It's like, that's original sin. Like,
That's a
everyone
bit.
starts feeling shitty about themselves.
Well, it's
and,
like, yeah, you're in this
thinking
pure
dirty
form,
stuff.
and
Yeah.
then that happens,
right.
and now you're thinking a lot differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so like at this Catholic school, like I had to volunteer and like work with people with developmental disabilities and work with the homeless and stuff like that. And they had this philosophy of like, hey, this is a private school and your parents are spending money for you to be here, and we're trying to instill good values in you, but like our ask from you is that you don't take this good education and just go be selfish about it. Like, be men for others. It was an all boys school. And like give back and do things for those who have less than you. And then after I graduated from high school, I went and worked at Cutco, Vector Marketing.
Yeah.
I sold knives.
Yeah.
And that's a very like, I mean,
You went
Pyramid?
door to door.
it's like a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
It's not exactly to door because you're like calling up your friends' parents and selling to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all about self-improvement. It's all about like making yourself the best you that you can be. And it gets twisted and it gets like very selfish. And I went to lectures where they were like talking about like, hey, you know, if you've got friends in your life who aren't supporting your career at Vector Marketing, like you got to think about, are they wanting you to be the best you that you can be? And like, when I see a homeless person and they're asking me for money, you know, I know that I made these decisions to make myself the perfect image of man, and I am now an Ubermensch. And they must have made decisions as well. And I think that they probably made bad decisions, so I'm not going to give them my $20. And that fucked with me, man. I was like, God, I was getting...
I don't agree with that.
For sure.
I agree with, in general, like, good vibes are good. Like, here's an example. I don't know why this pops into my head all the time, but I watch Chopped, which is a cooking show. And it's like a competition between 4 people to make the best meal out of random things. So for whatever reason, they had a family competing. So it was like a mom, dad, brother, and sister. And they were all competing. And halfway through one of the competitions, the son went to the mom and was like, can I use your whatever it was, like part of your stove? I need to use it. And the mom didn't want to, but she let him anyway. And she lost. Because I'm thinking, okay, her, and this is also like what you want out of life and doing best things for you. Like, if you were a giving person and you want everybody to take all your stuff and help and blah, 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 if she was gracious about it, which is no fault to her, because, you know, she wants to win. But if she had been like, oh, I would love it if I wouldn't mind at all. Please feel free. But because she was like, I really don't want to say yes, but I'm going to say yes to be nice, it's not the same positivity because you didn't want it initially. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you have, I don't know, if you're giving selflessly, then that's all good. But if you're giving but you don't really believe in it, that's different.
I don't know, man, because I think that I'm like on the complete other side of the spectrum on that as well, because I feel like what goes on in somebody's mind, like, yo, that's their business. Like, if someone is a philanthropist and like helps lots of people and like improves the world in a significant way, and they're just doing it because they like want to impress somebody, like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if that's your intention, like, I don't care. That's fine, you know? Like, what happens in your mind, if it stays in your mind, like, you do you know? Like, if you think, God, I hate every fucking person around me, and you still smile at them and, like, shake their hands and, like, do good things for them, like, I don't care, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe the universe does.
I'm just thinking like it would manifest in like some sort of weird way.
Manifest in person.
Probably.
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to think one way and not be that way.
Yeah,
But,
that's what I'm saying. Like, your
right.
thoughts do dictate
For sure.
a lot of what happens because if you, like, I'm just like, for where I am right now, I don't think I would have gotten in this podcast room, meeting you guys, doing what I am doing, unless my thoughts had made me get here, because I was like, no, it's like, I'm gonna make I'm gonna make a podcast versus I wish I could make a podcast. You know, like,
Right.
just saying I'm doing something makes it easier to do. And so I don't know.
But do you ever get like imposter syndrome? Like, do you ever think like, oh, these people who like me don't realize what I'm really like? You know, like, I'm in my head all the time.
All the
and
time
like,
for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if these people knew how I really was, they wouldn't like me. And the
No.
only reason why they like me is because I fooled them into thinking I'm a better person than I am.
No, because
So then you're
I've-
not neurotic, which is great.
Well, I've done a lot of self-awareness work where I've looked at what my intentions are and who I am. Because for a while you want to fit in. You want people to like you, even though you're not showing them who you really are. You're like, oh, is this a version you like? Because I'm just gonna keep this mask on.
Right.
But I took time to really get down to the nitty gritty of who I am, and you kind of do experiments. You go, I said something that was something on my brain and they didn't, crucify me. So I was like, okay, I can maybe do that more. And so I sort of would throw it out here and there. And honestly, up until now, like this last half a year, I would go out to some place that I felt uncomfortable and go, you're going to be yourself. You don't say anything that you don't mean. Don't, laugh nervously or uncomfortably because you don't know what to say. Just be honest and be yourself. And I've just the world has opened up since I've started doing that.
Yeah, and you're going to continue to evolve because that's just what we do.
Yeah. But I don't ever feel like people are going to throw the mask off and find out I'm some other person because I'm trying to be authentically everything that I am and it's working. So I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm neurotic, but not I feel like I'm not putting up a front. Like what you see is what you get with me, but also I have a lot of internal thoughts in my head all the time. You know
I almost have no internal thoughts.
Yeah, we were just talking
they all
about
come
that,
straight to my mouth and out into the world.
Which is a good thing. Because you don't beat around the fucking bush like everyone else in the world does.
Right? It's refreshing sometimes.
Yeah.
Like the other day, yesterday, me and Matt were in line for the UCB show or whatever, and this guy was walking down the street. And I have this weird obsession with checking people's flies. Because I had a pair of pants when I worked at the movie theater.
Oh, their zipper?
Their zipper.
Sorry.
They would always fall. It would always fall, so I was always self-conscious about it. And then ever since then, I would just scan people. And because how people are always if I have a booger or something, let me know. But nobody ever fucking does. So I'm no, I'm going to do that because people will appreciate it. So this guy was walking down the Franklin just in broad daylight and his zipper was way down. So I was just hey, just by the way, your fly's down.
Hey bro, your cock's out.
I was your fly's down. And then he just moved away and Matt was what the fuck? Who is that? And I was oh, just his fly.
Just the guy who had his fly down.
I was just trying to help out. You don't want to find out hours later, oh my God, I've been walking around with my fucking zipper undone.
Yeah.
I'm just...
So, I mean, I feel I definitely beat around the bush and I try to find a good balance.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I try to think hey, is beating around the bush gonna be bad for people in this situation? And if it is, I try to overcome it. But I think that often I don't trust my own thoughts and feelings. And if I get upset with someone, I figure the reason why I'm upset is probably my fault. So if I go into attack mode, it's if I go into attack mode and I'm how dare you make me feel this way, and they're completely right, then I just look like more of a jackass.
Yeah.
And so I want to make sure that I can control my feelings.
Just calling yourself on your own bullshit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to control my feelings, understand what's going on, and make sure that I'm not acting out based on feelings that are
have nothing to do with the other person.
Right. Yeah.
Well, sometimes that's my favorite way to deal with stuff because it's very honest, but you still get the release of it. So you go, you haven't done anything. I'm just very angry. I know it's not your fault. I'm sorry. I'm angry. You kind of just have to say, my mom used to do this when we were younger. She would get in a mood where, I don't know, she was menopausing or whatever the fuck it was. She hadn't slept or whatever. She'd be don't. And she would always do it with a humorous twist. So she'd be I am in a mood.
Right.
Nobody cross me. And if you did, she'd go, I told you I was in a mood. So you warn people and you just I just feel open communication, letting people know as much information just so you can avoid those,
I feel that's easier for a woman to be like that though, in a way.
Well, it's a little irrational, so maybe.
Yeah, people almost expect that from women and stuff, but if it's coming from me, then people are gonna be what the fuck's wrong with you?
Well, if you wear it on your sleeve more often, people are gonna be less taken aback when you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like maybe what I think you're saying is an angry man is
exactly
perceived as scarier or more dangerous than an angry woman,
yeah.
which I don't think is good for either men or women, you know? Like,
No.
to say, like, an angry woman is just a woman is super fucked up.
Yeah.
And to say that an angry man is, like, terrifying relative to an angry woman is also not great for the men, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you and I are both pretty tall guys. Like,
Yeah.
so like if we're if we're mad about
Imposing
something,
figures, yeah.
and we're like it shows on our face that we're pissed off about something, and
Yeah.
we're talking to someone who's
more-
probably shorter than us and just like looking up at us, and it's
Yeah.
like, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So that's really what I was saying. I wasn't saying
sure.
like women are that way.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
no, I get what
no,
you're
yeah,
saying.
no, I agree. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, honesty is.
Key in most situations.
I think it helps. You know,
Yeah.
like if you, I don't know, beating around the
Totally.
bush, I just feel like doesn't ever, and I do come off, some people don't appreciate it, which is fine. You
Yeah.
don't have to. But I feel for me, it's the best way for me to communicate with other people. I say what I mean, and I'm getting, none of it is ever
Yeah.
meant to hurt anybody. I like my friend John that I work with hates me, but he loves me because he knows I'm telling him facts. I'm like, yo, this is an issue that you keep complaining about, and I'm not good with people just bitching. So I'm gonna call you on your shit. Don't come to me with those problems.
Yeah.
I'm not that friend.
Right. And I don't think that like the way I am about like trying to be so deeply sensitive about like how I might like make people feel is better, because like I do appreciate it about myself that I can like control my emotions and stuff like that, but I think it fucks me up a lot. You know, I think that I get into situations where I will just get mad and like not acknowledge it. And
then it blows
gets
up.
worse than it is. Yeah. I mean, like, I was in a relationship for like 4 years, and I was deliriously happy being with this woman, but I was also depressed out of my mind.
Dude, me too.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And what, you couldn't recognize it, or
And I couldn't recognize it. Like, I didn't even. I mean,
But why were you
I
depressed?
did it because I wasn't following my dreams.
Dude,
you know?
me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. It was like
Yeah.
I knew it on some level, but not on like a conscious level that I was willing to like speak
Confront.
out loud and confront. You know, it
Yeah.
was like, I know I'm so sad.
I'm just ignoring it.
Exactly.
Do you still miss her?
Not so bad anymore.
No?
I don't know.
How long has it been?
It's been almost a couple years now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was a while.
Yeah, well, it was my girlfriend from college,
Okay.
and we moved from college to Chicago together, and then we moved from Chicago to Portland together, and while we were living in Portland, we got engaged.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like almost the same thing that happened to me.
no kidding, really?
We didn't move around or anything,
Uh-huh.
but like I met a girl in college. And, she had a daughter, and then like we were together for like almost 5 years, and it like got to the point where we were about to get engaged. And then yeah, like just it was sort of like after my brother passed away, and it was just that was kind of like
You
why
reevaluated
like we
what
were
you're
about
doing.
to break up before that happened, and then that happened, and then she was just there. You know, she was there for me and my family and stuff. And then like her family was there for my family and all that stuff. And then like eventually it just imploded. And like, dude, it sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I always knew in the back of my head, like I would always have this because I was always coming out here. I didn't live far away, so I was always coming out here. I would come out here every Monday to go to Kiltony, the show that we're actually going to tonight if you want to go. Anyway.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes,
I've got a
it's
writers
writers
group, but I
group.
might be able to like
Oh, okay.
check out the tail end, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
we'll talk
know how
about
that
it.
works
But no, like I was always coming out here, and every time I would come out here and then go back home, I'd always be like, just fuck, man. Like, what am I doing? Like I love this girl to death, and she had a daughter, and I loved her daughter to death, and I was like basically a stepdad. And I was so torn because like I was really, really happy being in that world.
Yeah.
Of like living like a very like just homey life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, in the back of my head, it was always there. Like, this isn't really what I want to be
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
There's always that like what if.
That's,
Yeah,
That's
and you can't have both.
That's so the same for me. And I mean, like, my relationship didn't like implode, and like even after the end of it, it was still a while where I was like, that would have been the perfect life, you know?
yeah,
and it
I
was
feel
like
the same.
In college, she had this dream about her life that she was going to get married, she was going to have kids, and that was like the most important thing for her was to be a mom. And like while I was in college, I was like, well, I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know, man. Like, and like I wanted to be a writer, I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to like
explore.
I wanted to be known. I wanted to be in entertainment. You know, I wanted people to be like, Danny Prikazsky, that guy.
Of course.
Even though no one would ever say, Danny Prikazsky, that guy. I have to change my last name.
Do you have an idea?
I feel like it's a catchy
Danny Prikazsky.
It's
pretty.
Okay, I'll think about
Danny
not changing my
Prikazsky.
last name.
Yeah.
But anyways, like, I just sort of like slowly bought more and more into her dream. And when we moved to Portland, we were both in sort of like a similar field. I was working as a direct care provider with people who had developmental disabilities, which was something she had done for a while. And now she was working at a preschool, but she was planning on like going on to work at a school for like people with developmental disabilities. And
That's
like,
so weird.
we were going to be like making very little money, but doing something that we cared about and being together and getting married and having kids. And like, she had cousins who lived in Portland who had like little kids, and we would babysit for them sometimes. And like, it is a beautiful life. You know, and I'm like tingling right now thinking about it, because it's like, it's an incredible ideal. But at the same time, it was just so incontrovertibly against everything that I thought I would be and had hoped for myself when I was younger, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you get into that like sort of like domesticated life in your 20s. I feel like it's almost detrimental to the rest of your life. Because like your 20s and even like a little bit in your 30s is kind of like
it's
the
a
time
growing
where
time. It really is.
And I mean, like, I'm 26 right now, and I'll be hanging out with like a lot of my friends are close to 30 or like over 30, and they'll be like, dude, you're 26, like how the hell were you like about to get married? And like,
I hear the same shit.
if I were still with her, we would own a house right now, probably in Southeast Portland, and she would be pregnant. We would have gotten married last summer, and like we would be expecting a child.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's interesting that you both went through that, because I think I got it from my mom. I grew up in a very women empowered household, from my mom to her mom, and so on and so on. And my mom always told me, she basically like when I was in high school, she was like, if you have a boyfriend and you're going to go to college, go to college.
Yeah.
Don't go where he's going to go. Don't force a relationship that's not there. She was like, you don't even know it. And she knew me. I'm a flirt as a motherfucker. Like I like to, I make friends really easily. Like she knew that as a kid, that's what I was like. So she was like, when you go to college, you're going to meet so many new people. It's going to be like, you're not even going to think about us rather than like some boy at home. Like what's he doing? And like, or he's at his college doing his adventurous growing thing. Right. So I did have a boyfriend senior year of high school. And when we got into the relationship, I put a little bookmark and was like, okay, as soon as I'm going to college, this is ending. And I just had that in the back of my head the whole time. So I sort of predetermined I'm not going to get caught up in a domestic situation that I will have to get out of, because I kind of knew I never wanted to be there in the first place.
Do you feel like you were then sort of like setting like limits on yourself and like creating boundaries and like emotionally separating yourself to a certain degree?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it did.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I went through a heartbreak the first, like my freshman year of high school. I was with this guy. We were only together for a summer. It was 3 months, but it was like an intense 3 months. And he was everything I thought I wanted. He was like... Before
you go on, can I make a guess? Was he like at least 3 years older than you?
No, he was my age.
Oh, okay. Right on.
No,
I just feel like that's such a story, but anyways.
No.
Okay.
My best friend, she had a thing like that. He was my age. He liked this. Like, okay, at that age, I had like a checklist of like, if I could make the perfect guy, he'd be an Eagles fan. All our families. He would have younger siblings that I could like mother, and he would have this. He would be that. He checked all of those boxes. So I was like, this is perfect. I found the love of my life.
Thank God we can go to football games together.
Yeah, right. We can cheer for the same team. Woo! Yeah. And so after that summer, it was beautiful. We had the most fun ever. And then he broke up with me out of nowhere, and it felt like the rug, was pulled, and I had an empty heart and was so confused. And it took me like a year to get over it. Because I never had any fucking closure. He just did it because his friends thought he should. And I was just like, what? I have nothing to grab onto. But so since then, I was like, I never want to feel like this. I feel I have no control over what I'm doing because I'm so concerned with what he's doing. And I felt like I didn't have any control over my own emotions, which I did not like. So I was like, I don't want to ever give anybody that much power over me.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life. So yeah, the next relationship, I definitely put up a wall. I mean, it wasn't severe. Like, I definitely let him in, and but I tried to be as open about it as I could. I was like, so you know, like, we're having fun, but if I'm going to college, he was going to community college, we're going to be doing two different things, it's going to end. Like, that's just the reality of it. So I didn't get tied into
I feel like
again.
after my relationship too, I just completely put up like a huge like wall. Just like I don't want to let anybody in because like.
Nobody wants to get hurt like that.
Like, I mean, I specifically remember, like, coming back from, like, Kill Tony one night and her asking me, like, so are you ever going to, like, try to do stand-up? I'm like, yeah, maybe, like, one day. But, like, I was like, I remember specifically saying, like, I'd rather just be here with, like, you and Summer, like, her daughter, But, like, when I said that, like, in the back of my head, I was
you were thinking, I'll do it, but we can't be together.
Exactly.
I'll do it once we're not together.
Like, but I meant both things, though. Like, I totally meant, like, I would rather be here than have that sort of life. But at the same time, I was like, I haven't even experienced that type of life. I at least need to fucking try.
Yeah.
And it was just, like, one or the other sort of thing. And
that's definitely something that pushes me. I don't know where it comes from, but the unknown is so fascinating.
Yeah,
not like unknown like darkness or whatever, but like the unknown of like, I'm very like Moana. Like, I showed you that song. When she looks out over the ocean, I want to fucking start crying. I'm like, look at all this stuff that I don't haven't experienced. Like, that's why I'm so passionate about learning, and I'm so curious. There's so much to do, and there's so much going on that you're just like,
I've always loved Pixar movies, of course, Disney movies in general, but like that first day that we hung out,
I showed him him Moana song, I showed him Just Around the River Bend,
nice.
Pocahontas. That song makes me fucking cry.
Her passion for this Moana song, though, I like downloaded it and played it like every day for like a few times. I was just like her passion for that song like opened my eyes to like, I was like, oh my god, this has been right in front of me this whole time.
Same thing with Belle from Beauty and the Beast. That first song she sings.
I gotta say something about Moana.
What?
Because like,
are you gonna down? Is this a downer?
No, I really appreciate you saying that and like having such a deep connection with Moana. But I built an emotional wall between myself and Moana.
Why?
Because I really loved Frozen, and I sort of felt betrayed that like everybody was so into Frozen, everybody was singing Let It Go all the time, and then Moana comes in and everyone's like, oh my god, Moana's like the best in the world. Like, Frozen's garbage. Like, forget Frozen, we're into Moana. It's like, Moana's an excellent movie, but I liked Frozen a lot, and I liked Frozen better. And like, I feel like a lot of people had a deep connection with Let It Go, but I like got tingles all the time and would listen to it on repeat when I listened to Let It Go.
See, that for whatever reason, when it came into my life, I did not have.
And I feel like that says a lot about. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, so
that says a lot about who you are and who I am, because like you have that deep connection to the Moana song, and like you want to go out and explore the world and like see the unknown and everything like that. And me, it's like, let go of all this like crazy neuroticism inside of your brain and like allow yourself to be like
just a person.
It's just a different phase,
like,
sort of.
There is no original sin. There is no like ultimate good and evil that you have to be worried about on a daily basis. Just like accept who you are,
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get to Moana in a couple of years. You'll graduate.
How long have you been in LA?
I moved here in December of 2016.
Oh, okay.
So over a year and
about a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. And you came out here to be an actor or writer or just anything in the creative Hollywood field.
Yep.
Sort of.
Well, I saw that short that you said you wrote and you acted in.
Yeah.
The IT guy.
Yeah.
Which I love the idea of that.
Okay, let me plug it real quick. My friend Lauren Leland makes a web series called Third Life Crisis, 1/3 Crisis. I think you can find that on YouTube, where she sort of establishes her character of like, I'm this young woman trying to make it in the world and running into all of these struggles. And it's a little bit of like a Seinfeld thing where it's like, clearly she's not a role model, but she's a very relatable figure.
Yeah.
Her character anyways. And I, at the beginning of this year, I was like, I want to start writing and being in things. I'm just going to write things for people's web series that I know and see if they will want to make it so that I don't have to like control the entire process, and like I can sort of just like do a small amount and then they will make it happen. And so I did that with her, and I wrote this sketch. It was like, I don't remember what the title was, but it was like she she has trouble with her Wi-Fi, so she calls Geek Squad. I come out and she's like, oh, this guy, wow. And so she starts inventing a bunch of fake IT problems to keep luring me back.
And then
to
the last guy, we don't really do refrigerators, but
yeah.
I thought that was a great sketch.
Yeah, it was fun. I really.
I mean, I had
enjoyed
some
doing it a
notes.
lot.
I always have notes.
Sweet. I have notes as well. It's longer than I wanted it to be, but that's probably how I wrote it anyways.
I mean, they're just some editing things, whatever. I'm just that. I have a high bar for quality.
For sure.
And I just like, if things can be as good as they can be, I want to get there. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, you did it shitty. It's like, no, there's something we could fix right here and make it just a little bit better. It's just like
I really appreciate that about you, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I like high quality stuff. So sorry.
Same.
I want to see all these notes.
The last thing I have written down is brave as a noun, which is
we covered all of this except for brave as a noun.
the only video on your YouTube channel that had no views until I clicked on it.
Yeah, no, I put that on YouTube for like a self-tape audition kind of
And
a
they
thing.
didn't watch it.
They didn't?
There were no views.
What?
What is it? Brave?
Brave as a Noun is a song by
he wrote.
No, I didn't write it.
Oh, you did?
No.
Oh, I thought you did.
I sing a little bit. Usually not for anyone else's pleasure. But
you have a nice voice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Song is called Brave as a Noun. It's by the Andrew Jackson Jihad, or I think now they go by AJJ. They're a band from Phoenix that does sort of like rockabilly punk stuff. They're fun. They're goofy. So Brave as a Noun, it's like...
Oh, I thought you wrote that.
Oh, no, I didn't. I wish, dude.
Have you ever written
Have I ever written
that kind of stuff?
No.
Like comical, musical, Bo Burnham?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I haven't. I was a creative writing major in college, and I wrote poetry because that's all anybody in the creative writing department really wanted to hear from me. Like, I thought I was going to write fiction, and they were like, no, you don't.
Don't do that.
Yeah, and all of... So, like, at my college, the creative writing department, you had to get into it. Like, you had to submit and you had to be accepted into it. And you also had to declare your major by the end of your sophomore year. And I didn't get into the creative writing department until after my sophomore year. So I didn't get to declare creative writing as my major. I had to declare theater, but I also had to take a bunch of creative writing electives in order to like keep working towards that major that I knew that I wanted to have. And all of the electives were in poetry. And so those were the classes that I was able to take in creative writing, despite that not really being what I wanted to do in creative writing. But that's what I got proficient at because I was doing it. Yeah, I wrote some fun poems.
What's your what are you working on? Any writings right now, or anything that you have done that you're super proud of?
Yeah, well, I'm writing a short screenplay called Killer Next Door.
Oh, are you the killer?
I haven't decided yet. I deliberately am leaving all of the pronouns gender neutral in the script, and like the names of the characters are also sort of gender neutral. It's Sam and Val, where I feel like, yeah, Sam could be Samuel, but it could also be Samantha, and Val could be Valerie, but it could also be Val Kilmer. Like I couldn't think of another male Valkyrie. Val, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's about this person who gets out of a long-term relationship. Whoa, feels a little autobiographical. Moves to LA. What? Hang on. but they move into an apartment next door to someone who's a serial killer. And the serial killer has just kidnapped someone for a fun week of torture and murder.
As you do.
As you do, as a serial killer. When this new neighbor meets them and then falls in love with them and like becomes infatuated. And so
the new neighbor falls in love with the serial killer?
Yeah, the new
or
neighbor
the other way
the
around?
new neighbor falls in love with the serial killer.
Got it.
And so it's this, I guess it's like a comedy of errors of like this person being really in love with this other person who wants nothing to do with them because they're trying to hide a body in their apartment. And that's what I'm working on right now. I'm almost done, and then I don't know when I will like make it, but that's what I'm really excited about writing right now.
Cool.
That sounds awesome.
I'm stoked.
I will audition if
Sweet.
you hold auditions.
Yeah.
I love being in things.
Do you want to be a serial killer, or do you want to be...
I will do whatever.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to read it and then maybe decide which one I think I could do.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. I like getting into projects.
I can
and
picture you
stuff.
as a serial killer.
I would really actually love to play that role.
Yeah?
I kind of like the idea of being like somebody,
That doesn't look
the
like
mastermind.
Right, methodical, because that's definitely, the character.
Like just like where they say things that seem normal, but you're like, what the, that's not right.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that, yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like that'd be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely want to be in it too, because like I'm writing it for selfish purposes of like getting my face out there, hopefully in something good. I'm trying to write it to be good.
Well, if you're working with me, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. Sweet.
He's like, no.
Just don't want to make a commitment. I think
That's fine. I
agree with you, and I think that that's true.
What?
That if you were in it, it would be good. Yeah.
Thumbs up to that.
He's beating around the bush. He doesn't think he'll be good.
I'm not.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, we've done about an hour and 40.
Hour and 40, shit.
Hour 40. You want to try to wrap this thing up?
Yeah. Thank you for coming on to Have a Seat, Danny.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Danny.
guys. What a journey.
Yeah, right? We
Yeah.
talked about a lot of shit.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So is there, you plug one more time your Instagram, all of those things?
Yeah, so I do have an Instagram. It's at Danny Prikazz. Danny, Danny Prikaz. I think that's also my Twitter and my Facebook. And then I've got my show, What Happened Last Night, the Whodunit Show. You can find it on Twitter, at Whodunit Show, on Facebook, facebook.com/Whodunit Show, Twitch, twitch.tv/Whodunit Show, or YouTube, youtube.com/Catrific Plays.
That one's just like an outlier.
Yeah, a little bit of an outlier there. Yeah.
Someone else's channel there.
Yeah.
all right,
But check
though.
that shit out. I mean, like,
Yeah.
we're happy to have like the 20,000 subscribers that the channel came with.
For sure.
So,
So yeah,
check it
just
out.
check it out.
Yeah.
And thank you for tuning into another episode of Have a Seat, which is available on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and other streaming networks that will be, connected to our Instagram. Or
Anywhere you get a podcast.
wherever quality podcasts are found.
yeah, all
Exactly.
right.
Thank you very much, Danny.
Thank you.